Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new edition of Hue at Home. I'm Tracy Koga, and we're going to play a little Jeopardy! Who is the Canadian actress who is an award winner, can be seen in Hallmark movies, TV series, commercials, and now her own stand-up comedy special on YouTube? If you said, "Who is Connie Wang?" you win a prize. Sorry, I'll send the prize to you. But anyways, welcome to Hue at Home, Connie. Congratulations on, you know what, I want to say congratulations, girl, on everything that you have achieved. And I think in this conversation we'll learn why, but also more importantly, I think other Asian Canadians can look up to, especially young women. So let's start with your story, Connie, and we'll get into the new YouTube stand-up comedy special soon.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here together.
Yes, I know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm, been nominated for two Canadian Screen Awards, and now I have my 1 hour stand-up special. But more about me and like my roots, like where I really come from. Like my parents came from Beijing, China, in the 90s, and they immigrated to Regina, Saskatchewan. And that's where I was born. Yeah, it's near you. It's near you.
Yes, very, very close. Only a 6 hour drive. And yes, you're a very brave girl to admit to that, but no.
Yeah. I mean, I was there till I was 4. My little sister was born there, and then after that, that's when we started like migrating to Ontario, and that's really where now I'm based in Ontario. So,
Yeah. And like growing up in Regina, being an Asian, obviously, of Chinese immigrants, what was that like for you? Or do you even remember?
I just remember feeling really out of place for a good while, maybe up until I was about 10. But I think it had to do with um because I was so little and like English was not my first language. Like I spoke Mandarin at home with my parents. And then I started going to preschool and like daycare, and I wouldn't talk. Like, can you believe it? Now you can't shut me up. But before, when I was little, like my parents like could not get me to speak, and they were saying that I was shy, but I think it was ultimately like I think I just didn't know, like I was so Chinese at home and then it's so Canadian out there. It's very contrasting for a kid, you know? I'm like, I don't know who to be right now.
But now you truly found yourself, and you're in Toronto now. You're an actress by trade. So I want to know now, how did comedy come, I guess, or how did you fit into the whole kind of stand up comedy? And do you find it harder than acting or easier?
Hmm. I've always been a very funny girl. So, even like with acting, I've always kind of leaned towards clowning. Like I trained in clown in university. So that was always kind of like up my alley. And then, yeah, last year there was the writer strike, actor strike. And I was like, okay, well, what's something I can do right now in a way that I can tell my story quickly, like accessibly? And I was like, why don't I do stand up? So I started stand up last year, and I just kind of got, you get addicted to like a creative outlet. So I started going every night, and then I woke up one day and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do like my own kind of Netflix special. Like one day I'm gonna have a Netflix special, but for now I'm gonna create that this year, whatever it looks like. So by the fall of last year, I created a 1 hour stand-up special within 6 weeks. Like it was the middle of TIFF. It was like September. And I was like, okay, we have a show November 9th. Tickets were selling and I did not even have a show yet. I was literally flying by the seat of my pants. Like I finished that show, the recording, and I got off stage and I was like, I could die right. Like I'd be okay leaving the world right now because I just did one of the scariest and craziest journeys of my life. It feels like at least. And to accomplish that, I was like, wow, I can do anything. But I essentially got into comedy because it's almost like I had no other choice. Like I was just pivoting in terms of career, like what can I do now if I'm not acting? because I was doing it for so long. I was like, okay, what's something I can do that's gonna lead me somewhere? So that's how I got into comedy.
And
Yeah,
Canadian famous. Let's talk about that. The
it's a
meaning
whole
behind
thing.
Canadian famous, I guess, too.
It's a whole thing. It's me finally being able to like make fun of myself and who I've been because it's just when I like as an actor, like such aspirations to do the best, be the best, go to Hollywood. That's where everything's at. I just want to be famous and just be admired. Meanwhile, like what it takes, like what it really takes to run a business, like what it actually looks like. Like I'm maybe on the red carpet, 2% of the time acting, like 10% of the time. The rest of it is building a business, networking, doing all sorts of things. So I was finally able to comment on what it's been like for me and make fun of myself, like make fun of that way of being and that wanting to have like someone like me, like somebody noticed me, somebody recognized me, but in Canada, nobody cares. That's something about Canada though. That's what I've noticed. Like nobody cares and nobody knows, right? Everything's just like it's all just, oh, you're on Netflix, cool. You're on like Rogers channel, cool. Same. Who cares?
And do you find that too, we have to go away to become famous and then come back home and then we're instantly famous?
I did write about that because from history it seems to appear that way. And I do think so. There's like something about American famous and then coming back and now you're famous. So I'm like, what about the Canadian famous? Like, what is this? For people who don't leave. People like you and I
Yes,
just hanging here
I know, just doing our thing. Yeah.
in Canada being famous.
Oh,
What
come on.
about us?
Somebody must recognize you when you go grocery shopping.
I mean, from time to time, based on like my career, depending what I'm in, I was in Ottawa one time during COVID. Remember there was like COVID Christmas a few years ago, and me and my fiance were in Ottawa because everyone had COVID in Toronto. So we're like, we're going to Ottawa. And I was like, okay, I'd love to see Parliament. Haven't seen that in a while. I was crossing the street and this girl sticks her head out of the window and she goes, aren't you Sammy from Tokens? And I was like, I am.
You stop and you go, hey, do you want my autograph?
Yeah. She's like, oh my gosh, are you coming out with a new season? We're like, we are. We're filming it this year, later this year. Like, hi. And she drove off. She's like, it's so nice to see you. And I was like, wow, that was a celebrity sighting. Was crazy.
Okay, so now getting back to Canadian famous, not only about your career too, but also your mom. You talk about mama.
hmm Yeah. Because it's like, where did I learn to get this hustle? Where did I learn to create, like accomplish so much in such a short time, right? And I'm like, huh, it's my mom. Like, what a baddie. Like, she came here in her 30s, didn't know a single word. She only knew T. Like, that was the only word she knew. And she was on her flight over, her and my dad both buying like one-way tickets. You just risk it, right? You're just getting a one-way ticket, starting a new life, building a family. He had better English, but my mom only knew tea. And she said on her flight over, she just kept saying tea and they would just keep giving her tea and she just kept going to the bathroom. Like that's how she started and like got pregnant with me right away.
It was a
So
T.
then yeah, tea. Yeah, tea. Tea.
Yeah.
Uh but yeah, the hustle she had for like the first 10 years of my life and I guess her life here in Canada was very fast and like I just remember like I was a baby but kids take in stuff and I just remember taking in kind of like that anxiety and that kind of hustle um and then really making a my parents making a life for themselves by the time I was 10 like we were in a new home like in suburbia like what they always wanted was
Yes.
for their daughters to like go to like a proper grade school proper high school and get a good education in a safe neighborhood and they did that and then just like accomplishing so much in such a short period of time, doing and using the resources that this country has. Like at the time they had like this newcomer program, so my mom could learn English during the day and they would pay for babysitting
Oh.
for mom. So that was like a program that they had in Saskatchewan, and she really took it upon herself to learn English. And then she got placed in a daycare because she was a teacher for 10 years in China anyway. So it was just a language thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yes.
And yeah, I just like love I'm just a girl who just loves her family so much. I just really wanted to write something for my parents because like that whatever I'm creating now is just it's like a extension of them. Like if they didn't come here, I couldn't be like this free like woo, like self-expressed like woman, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So that's and really what it was is like we have so many stories of like things that we did and like my mom joined, she didn't mean to, but like Jehovah's Witness came knocking on the door and my mom needed to learn English. So, I mean, I was in ESL because I wasn't talking. So they put me in ESL. I was born here. So I'm at ESL in school. I'm like 5. And then my mom is watching my little sister. And then Jehovah's Witness ladies just come. And then she's teeing them up, right? Tea. And then soon enough, she's like conversing in English over the Bible. And then that's like a whole thing that we had was like, wow, my mom like learned English like through speaking with Jehovah's Witness ladies during the day. So then she got a job with the school board, and the rest is history. Like, go, mom. Like to be so bold.
Oh, that's so wonderful. It almost makes your life sound a little boring, Connie, or
Yeah.
or at least you've got a lot of catch up to do. I want to change now into something a little bit more serious, but I think personal for you, because you have a podcast, and is that still going, called Wonder Womb? And I want to talk about that and how it sort of, how has it helped you?
For sure. So the podcast is called it's Wonder Womb. It's my journey in healing polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, and a lot of women have that. That or like endometriosis. It's like one or the other. It's becoming more like talked about, I guess is what it is. And so like I had cysts on my ovaries. Like my periods were always very like rough. And then once I got into university, I think I was under so much stress. I started skipping periods and then it was just really painful. And then my acne was terrible. And I got tested and they're like, okay, yeah, you have PCOS, right? The only way you can't heal it, one. And then two, the only way that you can deal with it is go on the pill. But I was like, well, what if I want, and at the time I was 21. And then I was like, well, what if I want to have kids by the time I'm 28? Like now I'm 32, right? So I was like, time flies when you're on, I'm like, okay, I was 27 now. I was still on the pill. I was like, I got to get off this. So I got off the pill. But before that, I started meditating. Like I had a spiritual awakening when I was 24. Um, where I literally like one day, like a big voice just was a talking to me and was like, this is what you're gonna do to achieve your dreams. We're gonna go. And there's like no questioning it. So I just followed that voice
Yeah.
and I just went with it and I just started meditating. I meditated for 9 months when I was 24. I went to like a silent, like a Vipassana. I started Vipassana meditation, which is a silent meditation retreat. It's 10 days. Then after that, I just started doing it on my own. Like I would wake up at like 4:30 in the morning and just start meditating and just sit there for like 3 hours at a time. I don't know what was going on, but I just knew like this voice was like guiding me, was leading me like this is the training and the discipline you need for what you're out to accomplish in your lifetime. So I remember listening to that and I was like, okay. So it was very rigorous training that I guess I was putting on myself. And then I meditated for 9 months and I completely like I went plant-based, so so I eat vegan. I'm not vegan for the reasons why vegans typically are. I'm plant-based because I think it had to do with like my reproductive system. Like I think my whole body was just kind of resetting itself during that time.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was eating was shifting. And then my friend groups were like everything around me was shifting. I was moving to new places, got a new job, jumped into acting full time, like things were just moving in a really accelerated pace while I was meditating during that time. And then I was still on the pill though. So then a couple years later, I got off the pill and then somehow manifested like this plant-based doctor, okay, who's also like hip cover. Like he's like you can go see him. And he's also practices being plant-based. So that was really great to actually be with a physician
Mm-hmm.
who like walks the
Yeah.
talk and talks the walk or walks the talk, you know? So then um we were like regulating my periods based on healing my cysts through plants, like through what I was eating. And he's the only one. I've talked to so many specialists, like I have an endocrinologist, I have all kinds of specialists in my sphere, and he was the only one who said, "We're gonna heal PCOS for you." And I was like, wow, that was unreal. So it took about 2 years. So at the beginning of 2021, he declared me as like normal. He's like, all your blood work came back normal. Everything is normal. Like you don't need to come back to see me until like you come back once a year.
Wow.
So that was my journey
And
in
how
terms
and you're still good
oh
today?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I don't need any pills or anything. Like I take vitamin D and iron
Yeah.
supplements. Um, but yeah, I get my periods regularly, and before it was like every 32 days. Now it actually cycles with the moon, which was what my doctor was wanting. He's like, you want it to actually cycle with the moon. And I was like, how cool is that? It's coming like every 28 days, like on I'm a new moon period. I'm not full moon period. I'm a
Oh,
new moon period. So
just to
I got
clarify,
ready for a
just
full
to
moon
be
period.
clear. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a new moon
Oh,
one.
and then
Uh,
finally now, this is so, I think moving into the end of our chat, which I could go on forever with you, but being a role model, being a mentor for Asian Canadians, especially in the entertainment world, uh, I want to talk about the collective that you're a founding board member in Toronto, the Asian
mhm.
Six.
Yep, it's called Asians in the Six.
Yeah.
Founded that back in 2018.
Wow.
A group of us got together because there was like a lack, for sure, a lack of like Asian artists being friends. It was more so we just saw each other in an audition room. So we all got together at like a bar and then decided to do the 48-hour film challenge together and create something. So we created a short, which I produced and then ended up starring in. And I was like, okay. And then after that, we just birthed Asians in the Six because I was like, you know what? Like, this is definitely very necessary. And then it took us throughout the pandemic. We did, because we were all in lockdown, we started doing panels online. And I think in 2022, 2021, we did 6 panels and brought on guest speakers, people to empower like Asian filmmakers. And now the group is around over 300 people. Like now it serves as a place where people can post about certain castings, certain like events or movie screenings.
Right.
Um, and then also more groups have like kind of birthed through that, which is really great, but it was a really good catalyst in creating community here in Toronto.
No, I think that's wonderful because yes, we're always so wanting to quickly assimilate or be like everybody else, or wanting to fit in, and sometimes we kind of lose perspective on who we really are. And I love that about you. You're very fresh, and I guess in closing, Canadian famous, you went through this incredible journey, but what have you gained from it now as you can sit back and relax?
First of all, I ain't relaxing
I
because
didn't think so. I know. I kind of,
yeah, yes. So I'm actually working on my second special right now. So it's a whole other beast that I love because after I did the Canadian Famous, I got engaged. Thank
congratulations.
you. Yeah,
Oh,
John proposed in Ireland. We were on holiday to visit my sister a week after Canadian Famous. We recorded and then I've been wedding planning, like just living in my engaged woman um time until we get married next year. So I'm like, this is a whole special. Are we kidding? Like I'm here for the engaged woman. All right? Like, what the heck is this? What is this transition?
Oh, I'm sure
So,
that's going to be a Netflix
yeah,
series.
I'm coming out with a special a year minimum. I'm like, I've got way too much to tell.
I think you do. Can you just write a role for like a prairie Asian, Japanese Canadian
Yes,
woman
yes,
that's,
of
stuck in
course.
her little TV studio?
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Well, thank you, Connie. Everybody, go Google or go to YouTube and watch Canadian Famous. You're sure to laugh. Such a pleasure to meet you, Connie. And I know we will not, this isn't the last we have seen of you. And one day, girl, you will be famous, famous.
Thank you. Thanks so much.